Have you ever heard a story so strange, so unsettling, that it sticks with you long after you've heard it? A story that defies all logical explanation? Well, today, I'm opening a file that has been sealed for years. A file that contains one of the most baffling medical and human mysteries of our time. It is a story that begins on a train and ends in a place no one has ever returned from. Welcome to the Shadow Archives, and this is File 7. The Sleeping Passenger Incident. Our story starts in 2013 on a transcontinental night train crossing the vast landscapes that bridge Europe and Asia. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels on the tracks, the gentle rocking of the carriage. It's the perfect setting for a deep, restful sleep. As dawn broke the train, staff began their morning checks, waking passengers and preparing for the day ahead. They moved from cabin to cabin, a routine they'd done thousands of times. But in one cabin, they found something that would shatter that routine forever. A man, a passenger, was sound asleep. At first glance, nothing seemed amiss. He was just another traveler, lost in dreams. But when the attendant tried to wake him for his ticket check, the man didn't stir. The attendant called his name, shook his shoulder gently, then more firmly. Nothing. Absolutely no response. Panic began to creep in. The staff gathered, trying everything they could think of to rouse him. They checked his pulse. It was steady and strong. They checked his breathing. It was calm and regular. He looked peaceful, almost serene. But it was as if his consciousness had been locked away, deep inside his own mind, and someone had thrown away the key. Then they saw it. City Negocios. On the seat right beside him, perfectly placed, was a single, folded note. The handwriting was neat, deliberate. It contained just 4 chilling words. Do not wake him. Who wrote it? Was it the man himself? A strange premonition before he drifted off? Or was it someone else? Someone who knew what was happening to him? The note added a layer of deliberate mystery to an already inexplicable situation. It wasn't a plea for help. It felt more like a warning. The train made an emergency stop at the next major city, and the man was carefully transported to a hospital. The medical team was prepped for a coma paciente, or perhaps someone who had suffered a stroke. But what they found defied all their medical knowledge. All his vital signs were perfectly normal. He wasn't in a coma. His body wasn't shutting down. He was, for all intents and purposes, physically healthy. The real mystery, they soon discovered, was not in his body, but in his mind. They hooked him up to an EEG machine to measure his brain activity, expecting to see the slow, rolling waves of deep sleep or the chaotic patterns of a seizure. But the readings, Padros, that came back were imposible. The doctors stared at the monitors, baffled. His brain wasn't showing the patterns of sleep. It wasn't showing the patterns of being awake. It wasn't in any known state of consciousness that medical science had ever recorded. One of the lead neurologists described it best. He said, "It's as if his mind has simply stepped out for a walk, leaving the body behind, perfectly preserved, waiting for its return." The medical world was stumped. They had no name for this condition, no precedent, no case studies to refer to. After weeks of observation and countless tests, they could only give it a descriptive, almost poetic name. Transitory consciousness, sleep. Transitory, implying it was supposed to be temporary. But for this man, the transition seemed to be a one-way street. He was physically present, but his consciousness was elsewhere. And traveler who'd reached a destination from which he couldn't, or wouldn't, send a postcard. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. The sleeping passenger remained in his hospital bed, a living enigma. He didn't age in the same way, his face remaining placid and untouched by the passing of time. He was fed intravenously, his body cared for by nurses who spoke to him, read to him, played music for him, all in the faint hope that some stimulus might call him back. But nothing worked. He became a medical legend, a ghost story whispered in hospital corridors. The man who went to sleep and never came back. Eventually, with no progress, no new leads, and no explanation, the official investigation had to be closed. What else could they do? His case was too strange for public record, too bizarre for medical journals. So, it was moved. It was sealed and filed away comportment in a place Progetto's 4 mysteries that defy solution. The classified mystery archives. For years, his story was locked away. The file, collecting dust. A testament to the fact that there are some doors in our reality that, once opened, can never be shut. There's no record of him ever waking up. His identity, his destination, the author of that cryptic note, all remain unknown. And now, this long-dormant file is being reopened, right here, as a record in the Shadow Archives. A place for those who dare to look into the abyss and ask the questions that have no answers. What happened to that passenger on that night train? Where did his consciousness go? Was it a medical anomaly, a freak neurological event? Or was it something more? Something that hints at a state of being, a dimension of existence that we are not meant to understand. The note, "Do not wake him," is perhaps the most haunting part of it all. It suggests that waking him was either impossible or, even more frighteningly, dangerous. What if his state wasn't an affliction, but a journey? What if waking him would be like pulling a deep-sea diver to the surface too quickly? The mind, like the body, can suffer from the bends. Perhaps his consciousness had traveled so far, to such a different realm of reality, that a sudden return would have shattered it completely. We are left with nothing but speculation. We can imagine his mind wandering through landscapes of pure thought, unbound by physical laws. Maybe he's living 1,000 lifetimes in a dream, or maybe he's simply gone. An echo in an empty room. The file offers no conclusions, only questions that spiral into deeper mysteries. It is a stark reminder that the most uncharted territory is zoomed in the depths of space or the bottom of the ocean. It's the 6 inches between our own ears, for those who dare to seek the truth. The story of the sleeping passenger is a chilling cautionary tale. It tells us that the reality we perceive every day is a fragile construct, and sometimes people can slip through the cracks. The official record ends here. File 7, the sleeping passenger incident, is now closed. Thank you for joining me in the Shadow Archives. If you find these journeys into the unknown as fascinating as I do, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. There are many more files waiting to be opened. Until next time, question everything.